Welcome to This Day Live, the Sunday talk show where we discuss all things political, bringing you the top stories locally, nationally, and from around the world. I'm Reuben Abati, and This Day Live begins now. I'm Reuben Abati, your host for This Day Live, the Sunday talk show. I'd like to welcome our special guest for today. We have our favorite budget specialist and CEO of Economic Associates, Ayo Teriba.
Good evening.
And we also have in the studio today Deputy Editor at Sunday This Day and one of our regular guests, Wale Olaleye.
Good evening, sir.
Well, welcome to both of you and thank you for joining us today.
Very much.
We have quite a bit to talk about today, so let's get right into it with the top stories of the week. Wale, you usually give us the rundown. What has been happening around Nigeria and the world in the last week?
Well, good evening once again. A lot actually happened in the week that just ended. I think the week started pretty well with the budget presentation by the president. 8.6 trillion, has been envisaged in the new year. The army warned recently against violent agitations. Not that it was averse to legitimate agitations, but violent agitation, and it has promised to wade in very seriously this time. Interestingly, the whistleblower, the guy who blew the lead of the Ikoyi billions, has denied being paid the 5% as against the initial story we heard from EFCC. And so that controversy is on. Anambra election is next weekend, so we have the gladiators now hopping their games, with a view to getting as many votes as possible. A very sad one, 26 Nigerian girls died on the Mediterranean Sea in the week as a result of human trafficking. That's a very sad one. Kidnappers killed British doctor, Dr. Square, and then, of course, the police had moved in and been able to make a few arrests. We hope that we'll get to the roots of that. The IG appeared in the week before the Senate, and so the new SGF boss, Mustafa, was also at the National Assembly to see how the executive and the legislature could improve their relationship. And we're hoping that from that point henceforth, we'll see a new relationship between the two critical arms of government. The EFCC said in 2 years it had recovered $2.9 billion. That's a large sum, and a lot of us are wondering where the money is. The call for the release of the leader of the Shiite group, El Zazaki, and his wife Zinat has increased in the week, especially on the grounds of their health situation. We're hoping that the leadership or the authorities will listen to this. Family has also dismissed news of Dr. Alexei Commerce's death. And the man is said to be doing pretty well. We hope God will give him better health as he's been flown abroad now. The United Nations has asked Nigeria to seek homegrown solutions to our problems, and then, of course, predicted free and fair elections 2019. The crisis between Governor Nasser El-Rufai and the sacked teachers, about 27,000 of them, is still on. That is neither here nor there. Anonymous soldier in the week wrote an open letter to the president alleging corruption in the army, and then gave instances for people to believe it. Of course, INEC said that the National Assembly is the one delaying their preparations for the 2019 election because they've not been able to address some of the legislations that would enhance their performance. We're hoping the legislature will look into this. And then sadly, the Nigerian police have been ranked the worst in the world by World Internal Security and Police Index. That is not a good news for me. That's on the local news by and large.
Yeah, well, I mean, you raised quite a number of issues, in the rundown. And I guess what happened in Port Harcourt the other day is quite unfortunate with the minister.
And then the governor.
of Transportation visiting his home state with a security convoy, which ended up having a standoff, in public with the convoy of the governor. It looked like, a political fight, a cat fight, a show of state power and federal power.
Federal power, yes.
But of course, ugly in every respect, isn't it?
I think it's a continuation of what we had pre the 2015 elections when Wike himself was Minister of State for Education and then Honorable Amaechi was the governor then. They've always had this rivalry. Sadly, they both were friends before now, and then suddenly things took a very ugly turn. But what happened yesterday, I've tried to listen to both sides, and I also took a step forward to speaking to the Commissioner of Police in the state, as well as the police PPRO in the state. In fact, the police command in the state said it was very embarrassed by the way and manner the government handled the situation, and dismissed outright the allegation of attempted assassination on the life of the governor. He said there was no
it was a failure of leadership on both sides.
Absolutely.
And on all sides.
I agree.
And even on the part of the agencies that are involved.
Absolutely.
So I don't think any side can legitimately blame the other side. And if leadership is reduced to thuggery, that's really unfortunate. But, Ayo Teriba, what's your own take on this before we move on?
Well, it's said it. It's something that would best have been avoided. It was unfortunate that such could happen.
Because our leaders need to be humble. They need to understand that there's something called decorum.
Absolutely.
Leadership. Anyway, that's in River State. Let's go quickly to some of the other issues you raised in greater detail.
The whistle.
Now, in Anambra, 1 week to the governorship election in Anambra State, you have the indigenous people of Biafra, the IPOB group, making death threats to those who intend to vote. Members of IPOB marched around the streets of Onitsha, Anambra State on Friday, vying a lockdown and disruption on the day of the election, which is scheduled to be held on Saturday, November 18. IPOB's Media and Publicity Secretary, Emma Powerful, noted that the purpose of the demonstration in Onitsha was to show the world that the threat of bullet will not stop the group from realizing its aim of having a Biafra republic. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is going ahead with the Anambra governorship election. As once a date has been fixed for an election, the law is very clear on the conditions for shifting the date. The INEC cannot just shift the date, it says, unless the conditions stipulate, for example, that if there is a major natural disaster like massive flooding. However, security agents have assured Nigerians that all measures to ensure a peaceful election in Anambra on November 18 are in place. Again, by the same measure, the Ohanese and other leaders of thought in Anambra State have urged the people of Anambra State to go and vote. Otherwise, they will be risking the possibility of the declaration of a state of emergency in Anambra. So it looks like there will be a face-off next week in Anambra between IPOB and the people who want to exercise their right to vote and to choose. What do you think?
Honestly, I don't know what IPOB thinks it is, really. Just some organization dictating and then stamping their feet with such impunity. I don't know. And then I saw a lot of this coming with the way Nnamdi Kanu, God knows where he is now. I want to believe he's fine and doing great wherever he is. I mean, he had taken too much liberty, and then the security agencies have also allowed this to fester for too long. I want to believe IPOB is crossing the lines now, as it is. I mean, this is a sovereign state with leadership in place, security and all of that. You cannot just wake up someday and say there won't be an election legitimately, put in place and announced, in time by the concerned authorities, and you are saying people shouldn't go out. You're certainly crossing the lines for me. And I think the leadership and the authorities concerned must not take this with levity. They must really move in against them. And if the Southeast leaders are listening to their own people doing it, they should call them to order by now. Because by the time government moves in and government starts to do its own thing, they shouldn't say, I'm not a fan of dictatorship or impunity, being extended to citizens and all that. But when you cross the line, I think there is sanction and reward. You should be whipped in line. So if they cross the line by next election, they should be whipped in line, and that's it.
Well, I imagine that that's also your position.
Yeah.
But I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yeah, well,
because I know your position on IPOB, as expressed
what's
previously.
my position on IPOB? The point is that the people of Anambra State have a right to vote.
Absolutely.
And the candidates from Anambra State have a right to be voted for.
Absolutely.
If a group comes up and wants to interfere, with the expression of their democratic rights, it's up to the state to protect the lawful citizens of Anambra State who want to exercise their right to vote. You can't hold the state to ransom, So it's up to the state to maintain law and order in Anambra.
And to ensure that, people are not threatened, people are not intimidated, and no group resorts to blackmail. But if you look at the field in Anambra, 37 political parties, 37 candidates, but out of all these candidates, 5 seem to be the very serious contenders. What's your assessment? I don't know whether you've been looking at the candidates, but do not campaign for anyone. But what's actually your assessment?
Okay. Let's start with the governor. Obiano is a sitting governor and he's seeking re-election. I think he hasn't done badly, apart from being unable to manage very properly the politics of the state. The fact that he fell out too soon with his predecessor, that's former Governor Peter Obi, it's an indication that he's not a thoroughbred politician. I mean, the ability to strike a balance between the governance and politics of the states, says a lot about leadership, and I think he's failed on one part. But in terms of...
but isn't it also the fact that, former governors, former presidents, you allow the incumbents to do their work and not continue to behave as if they are competing for the limelight?
But again, you also must, prove that you are both such... medicineness by being able to manage their excesses. The capacity to manage their excesses also says a lot about you sitting on that, because someday you're going to leave. So I think on the part of performance, a lot of people, just like have heard, from the field, Obiano hasn't done badly, and then it's not going to be a walkover for him regardless. Nwoye, this is his second time of coming on board.
That's the candidate of the APC.
Yeah, he's a young man. He's very promising, impressionable, if you ask me. But I'm not sure the party is as popular as you would think in the Southeast, so he would have that to contend with a lot. Forget about the fact that APC is the ruling government at the center. APC is still not popular in the Southeast and South states, so they would have to do a lot actually. And how that is going to play out, I don't know, because even the president has not helped in terms of his disposition, although he promised to visit the southeast part of the country this coming week. This week we are already. How that would likely change the tide for the party, I'm not sure. I would think it's rather coming late. So, Nwoye, yes, brilliant guy,
quickly, what of the other candidates?
Yes,
we still have
Obaze, yes. Obaze is PDP. Obaze stands a good chance. And unfortunately, it's from the northern part of the state, and that's where the incumbent is. So now, if you're saying you're coming in and then you're spending a time, because what the other parts of the state are saying is that if you come in as a fresher, then you may likely run another term, that is 8 years, and they are just waiting for Obiano to run the second part and go away. So the other parts of the state are not comfortable with this idea, but he has been able to sell the one-term agenda. How they are able to buy into that, I don't know, but he's a good guy, brilliant, a former UN...
We have one major candidate left. That's the candidate.
No, we have two. We have Chidoka.
Oh, Osita Chidoka of the UPP.
Yes, Chidoka is there. He's also as impressionable as, if not even.
And then you have Godwin Ezemo of the PPA.
A lot of people actually see Ezemo as the underdog in this race, if you call it that way, because he has his own money, he's funding his own party, he's not getting any assistance from anywhere, and he has a personality that can actually deliver, they believe so. So if there is a kind of contraption, amongst these other four that will pave the way for him, like Oteku dollar for him kind of thing, where probably is the one to be looking at. But ultimately, I mean, these five are really going to have a tough time, contesting next Saturday.
Anyway, do you have anything to add? Well, there are 37 candidates involved.
We have 5 narrowed down.
Well, wish all of them well, and 5 leading contenders who seem to be the main candidates taking part, even in the debate. I think the debate is taking place today. At the end of the day, may the best candidate win.
Well, debate is not really an issue in Nigerian context.
Well, but you never know. Our democracy continues to evolve,
yes.
And the people continue to take their right to choose even more seriously than ever before. Let's go to another subject, the whistleblower, the gentleman who gave information leading to the recovery of 13 billion from Osborne Towers, Ikoyi, Lagos. He has denied he was paid 5% of the recovered sum. His lawyer, Yakubu Galadima, who is the counsel for the unnamed whistleblower, has alleged that the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has reneged on the promised 5%. But the spokesman for the EFCC, Wilson Uwujari, stated that the young man who blew the whistle had already become a millionaire. The lawyer said he had already written a letter dated October 10, 2017, to President Muhammadu Buhari in this regard, but that is yet to get any response from the presidency. So the EFCC denies they pay whistleblowers. Meanwhile, this specific whistleblower, I quote, just wants his money. What do you all think? Do they pay whistleblowers off, or should they pay whistleblowers off? I mean, why can't we just live in a world where people can report on crimes without expecting any compensation? Or would they not report them? I mean, I would like to get your take. Yeah.
Okay, well, the government announced the policy, which if you inform the government about a loot, and the government is able to recover such loot, you get a percentage. That's the thing of
5%.
The whistle, 2.5, between 2.5% and 5%. Yes. Now the question is the money in question, the Nigerian Intelligence Agency money. Was that money a loot?
Proceed of corruption,
Or it was money for the national intelligence, which was kept in cash and was found in a private home. Because the operatives or intelligence operatives did argue at the time that all over the world, in their network, they keep cash. So that's my own issue. The fact that you blew the whistle, and we knew that the money belonged to the Nigerian Intelligence Agency. It was found, was it in the apartment of the wife of the DJ? And so on. So how does that become a loot? And how would anybody want to get a share of the Secret Services cash? That's my puzzle.
I don't think so. If going by the way the president has handled the matter, the investigation to the matter so far, then you can as well conclude that it was probably a loot. Because we don't have the report, and the president has sacked him. So that means something was amiss in the report. Something, indicting the man.
There was an investigation.
An investigation. So
that doesn't make it.
No, it does. You can dismiss it as proceed of corruption in whatever way.
No question.
Whether stolen officially or through the back door, whichever way, that money with the action of the president is a proceed of corruption. That's settled.
Well, that's your conclusion.
Yes, that's my conclusion. But whether or not it should be paid, it's a policy in place which promises that he will be given that amount. But my concern is the approach of the EFCC. Lies telling, propaganda. You haven't paid somebody, and then you went to town that the guy is a millionaire, and then in fact you had begun to counsel him on how to manage the money. And yet the guy's lawyer is saying the guy is even feeding from hand to mouth. So how do we run an agency like that? How do you even want me to trust an agency like EFCC?
Well, until all the facts are out.
There are many facts, many statements out there already.
Careful,
but you see, do you feel concerned that this this been the first major test case for the promise that the government
made, and they are in danger.
That people who have been invited to come and blow the whistle will be discouraged.
Absolutely.
Well,
If the first man that is asking for his compensation, well, this is the first major test case.
Yes, now that we know who is asking for his money. Nobody has asked.
Yeah, people, a lot of people, this was
But this is in the public
sensational, you know. A lot of people, you know, secretly blow whistles that lead to arrest and recoveries.
And then paid. Nobody has been paid.
The way the news broke, finding such money in a private flat, in a private apartment, you know, made it very sensational. Even before it was discovered, it was initially presumed to be looted funds. But it was later discovered that it belonged to the intelligence agency. And the head of the intelligence agency confirmed it to be so.
In a way that was...
that
was suspect.
So to me,
people are saying you shouldn't keep that kind of money in a private apartment.
Well, that could be why he has been disciplined.
You don't seem to get the point.
I do. This is the first time.
I'm saying that this gentleman blew the whistle.
Yeah. And he's asking for his
money
right.
was recovered, whether you call it loot or you call it anything.
Whatever.
And the man is saying that he provided the lead that led to the recovery, and that he deserves his compensation.
Yes.
And the authorities have carried on as if indeed they were going to pay him. They were already cancelling him. They even provided him security.
Allegedly so.
They even alleged that they thought that his safety could be compromised. Okay? Now, if someone has to go through all of that,
and then suddenly,
will other people be encouraged?
No, it's no.
Whistle?
The answer is no. It's no. Would you want to blow a whistle and then go through all that rigors and then not being paid at the end of the day?
So yes, it will appear, in my view, that in the management of this particular episode, right, the government itself seems to have mismanaged or sabotaged its own policy.
Of course.
Well,
inadvertently, perhaps I want to argue. I mean, it's kind of building safety into my assumption. It may not have been deliberate, but like he has said, the government has messed this up.
Yeah, let's hope that the government would say enough to clear the air
and clean up its ass. Well, it's time now for a short break here on This Day Live, the Sunday talk show. But do stay tuned. When we return, we'll be discussing the status of African democracy, as well as how the Nigerian police have been ranked #1 on the worst list of police institutions from around the world. Don't go away.